there's something very indirect that Tesla's going to benefit from massively in 2024 from the Cybertruck, and that's really just the attention around the company. This is going to be just a ridiculous amount of attention for the company. Just the amount of posts you're going to see around Cybertruck over this next 12 months is just going to be ridiculous. The amount of friends, family members, just random accounts, the amount of attention on social media around Cybertruck and just Tesla's brand is going to be at an all-time high for 2024 overall, and it's really already starting. And so that's just a benefit for Tesla that you really aren't going to see necessarily in the numbers. It's more of an indirect benefit, but in regards to this, we're really just speaking about Cybertruck in general. Okay, first scenario here is an average selling price of about $90,000. Now keep in mind the first model starts at $80,000. Okay, in talking about 2024 models, the less expensive version is not going to be available till 2025 plus. So for 2024, you have two options: the $80,000 version or the $100,000 version. Right, that's before you do upgrades and all that other good stuff. Right, so I think an average selling price $90,000 is pretty darn realistic. Let's say they make about a margin of 20%. Now Tesla has made much better margins than that in the past, but do keep in mind this is a vehicle that they're going to be new to ramping to, right? So that's going to cause some issues for at least the first half of the year when they're ramping. And so I would expect actually margins to be lower in the first half of the year for Cybertruck, and then to get much stronger in the back half of the year after they already got this baby up and ramped, okay? So this scenario takes an average selling price, $90,000, margin of 20%. You could basically take, that's about $18,000 of margin there, right? Let's say they do about 100,000 units, which 100,000 units is, in my opinion, pretty realistic. I know there's some estimates out there that are much lower than that. Actually, one of these scenarios is going to be much lower than that. But one is, Tesla's going to be able to sell every single Cybertruck they make for the next several years. There's no debating that. Absolutely no debating that. But the question is, this is a whole new, different type of vehicle than they've ever built before, right? It's not like the Model Y was. The Model Y was a very easy ramp, relatively speaking, for the company because a lot of the Model 3 had similarities with the Model Y, which they had already ramped Model 3 in the past, right? So Cybertruck's such a different vehicle, so that's going to probably slow down production for probably Q1, and you might see only 10,000 units maybe made in Q1 or something like that, 7,000, 10,000. I think you'll see a big boost up in Q2 and then a huge boost up in Q3 and Q4. So I think 100,000 units is pretty realistic, to be honest. I don't feel like that's a crazy number at all, especially given the engineering capabilities and the manufacturing capabilities that Tesla has, which is a whole different level. Just when you really go through the Cybertruck, engineering-wise, there's nothing in the auto market that even is remotely close to that vehicle. It's on a whole different level. It's ridiculous. So this would put them at about $1.8 billion in profit thrown off to the company from this scenario, essentially, okay? This is my most bullish scenario I actually have for the company all right here in terms of Cybertruck for 2024. This would be an average selling price of about $100,000, right? Is definitely pretty possible when you take into the fact that you got the $80,000 one, the $100,000 one in the upgrades, right? People are going to add additions. Like, it's what happens when you get a Tesla, right? Or any vehicle for that matter. So $100,000 ASP for this one, 25% margin, so very good margin on this one. Now, pickup trucks do historically have some of the best margins, if not the best margins of any vehicles out there. So that's something to keep in mind there, right? And remember, they're selling their highest end models right off the bat. So margin about 25% on this one, which would be $25,000 in margin per vehicle, times that out by about 100,000 units, which would throw off about $2.5 billion in extra profit toward the company overall. Scenario number 3 is ASP of about $85,000, margin of 10%. So this would be obviously a pretty bearish scenario for margin for the company. If they're selling, an $85,000 vehicle, and with Tesla's capabilities, a 10% margin would be really low. This would mean Tesla had a lot of struggles in ramping this baby and get it up and rolling, okay? Which is always a potential, right? So in this sort of scenario, by the way, this lighting makes me look very washed out. It is what it is. Maybe I should turn the lighting down a little bit. Maybe that's better. I don't know. Maybe not. This lighting is a little crazy here. Holy smokes. Okay, maybe we'll do that. Okay. So this would put them about $8,500 in profit per vehicle. Times that out by 100,000 units, you're at about $850 million profit for the company for this scenario here. And then this scenario is pretty darn bearish. This would put them at about a $95,000 ASP. Once again, only a 10% margin means they had a lot of struggles ramping. In this scenario, it would only have 50,000 units being sold, which would be a pretty darn low number. I would be extremely disappointed if Tesla only moves 50,000 units in 2024. Very disappointed. I'd be very disappointed. I think that would be almost embarrassing. I think Elon would be very embarrassed if they only lose 50,000 units in the first year, okay? But this would put him at about a $475 million profit thrown off to the company in this sort of scenario, right? Is there a scenario where they lose money on Cybertruck in 2024? I think it's extremely unlikely. Looking at the ASPs Tesla's coming through, looking at the fact that this is now going to be the 5th vehicle they've ramped overall, yeah, I'm feeling very confident they're going to make profits from this in the year overall. I think it's just a big question of, is it like $500 million in profit? Is it like $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion? I think that's a real question in this first year, okay? Now, of these 4 scenarios, which one is the most realistic in my opinion? In my personal opinion, the scenario that's the most realistic is actually scenario 1 I have there. That's the one I would likely expect. ASP is about $90,000, a margin of about 20%, about $18,000 in profit per vehicle. And 100,000 units, I think, is pretty realistic for the company to throw off in 2024 overall. So that's the most realistic scenario. Now, there are scenarios where this company moves 150,000 units or 200,000 units in 2024. I don't want to bank that in. I don't want to bank that in. It is possible. If Tesla moved 150,000 Cybertrucks in 2024, would I be surprised? And the answer is no, I wouldn't. 175,000 units even, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not going to bank on that. I expect 100,000 units, okay? A few things to consider here with Cybertruck. One is they're going to have, from my understanding, Elon's kind of tweeted a few things around this and responded to a few folks, but it looks like they're likely going to sell a $16,000 extra battery pack, which essentially is going to give you range a little under 500 miles, a little under 500 miles of range. Listen, I think that's potentially a pretty likely upgrade for a lot of folks. If you've got the type of money to spend around $100,000 on a truck, you can do this upgrade, and I think there's going to be a lot of folks that want to do that. One is for the folks that travel in between states, right? And if I think about it, I live in Vegas, right? If I think about going to Los Angeles, if I think about going to Phoenix, Arizona, if I have a vehicle that gets 300 miles of range as a Tesla, I'm going to need a supercharge. There's no doubt about that, right? Because although technically I should be able to get to LA from here in a 300 mile something range, I don't drive perfectly, right? I'm going to probably drive, faster than I'm supposed to drive in ideal conditions, and there's going to be wind, and there's going to be a bunch of other things that don't get me the mileage that you're supposed to get. No different than almost nobody gets the actual miles per gallon if you drive an internal combustion engine, right? Because when they do those tests, they're driving perfect. They never hit the gas too hard. It's like a whole perfect scenario, right? Now, if you told me I have a 470 mile range, which is what they're talking about with this extra battery pack, I don't need to stop. I can go straight through to LA. I can go straight through to Phoenix, and that's cake, right? Also, think about how many people are going to want to do outdoorsy related things with this vehicle, right? And go to the mountains or go here, go camping, go wherever, right? And those people aren't going to want to have to worry about range. They don't want to have to deal with that range anxiety. And when you have a truck that gets nearly 500 miles of range, you pretty much take that out of there, right? So I think that could actually be a pretty popular upgrade and something I think a lot of people need to consider, okay? Second thing is self-driving upgrade. So first thing I thought about is, I don't know how many people are going to do it on a truck, right? Because I think about self-driving software, I think about more on cars, and yeah, right. But I think most people that buy these Cybertrucks are not going to be necessarily driving them around for work. You're not going to pay $100,000 to drive this truck for like manual labor. I just don't see that happening. I think most people that get this truck, at least in the first few years of it, now 5-10 years down the road, that could be a whole different ball game. But at least for the first couple of years here, I think it's going to be more people that have trucks as, instead of having a Range Rover, they're going to drive a Cybertruck. Instead of having a Ford Raptor. I've never seen a Ford Raptor on a job site before. I know a lot of people that have Ford Raptors. I don't know one of them. They use it for actually like manual labor jobs or something like that. No one does that, right? You're going to buy like an F-150. You're going to buy like a Chevy Silverado, something like that, right? Probably a used truck for those sorts of jobs. Driving software, maybe it is a popular upgrade, which is a whole bunch of margin, obviously, for Tesla, for however many people do that, right, and make that decision. And keep in mind, these are going to be higher income folks. All these first year or two, it's all going to be higher income folks that are buying these Cybertrucks. So maybe that self-driving software year one is doing really phenomenal. That's straight margin for Tesla, man. Straight margin. Premium connectivity, that's only like $12 a month or so. I think a lot of these folks are getting it on the truck. I think it's just going to be very popular for those folks. Off-roading. So the reason I have that up there is if you're taking this truck into more dangerous conditions that you usually wouldn't take a Model 3, a Model Y or something like that, there's a higher probability something's going to break, something's going to go wrong, right? You're going to mess the truck up doing something. There's just higher probabilities of that. If you've ever done any off-roading or anything like that, you know this, right? And there could be a services opportunity there that just isn't realistic with the Model 3 and Model Y in the past, right? And then last thing is color choice over time, right? And we'll see how much this helps 2024 numbers, because I don't know, maybe they'll only have the steel option the whole year, or maybe they'll start another option. But all I know is whenever the steel look is really cool right now, but it's going to get really played out really fast. And then people are going to want to do matte black Cybertrucks, gloss black Cybertrucks. They're going to want to do red Cybertrucks. They're going to want to do blue Cybertrucks. They're going to want to do different colors. They're going to want to do white Cybertrucks. They're going to get sick of just the steel look over time, okay? And so that's a huge potential for Tesla, right? That could be thousands of dollars in upgrade just from color as well. So that's something to keep in mind there in regards to Cybertruck, right? No, the vehicle's getting ridiculous publicity. Absolutely insane. And by the way, check this video out. If you haven't checked this video out right here by this guy, Haggerty, holy smokes, was that a great review. Yeah, I can see why it has 2.5 million views already. What a phenomenal review. I mean, he went into the engineering work. It was unbelievable across the board. I think probably the best review of anything I've seen out there. Look at this video, 1.5 million views 15 hours ago. MKBHD, 8.5 million views, and that was just posted yesterday. 8.5 million views. Look at this. The Tesla video here, 1.4 million. CNET, the release, 1.4 million. The truck poll already is sitting at 1.1 million. Believe me, these videos are going to keep pulling in views for days, weeks, and months, and even years to go into the future, right? When people are going to search Cybertruck, or it's going to pop up in their feed, things like that, right? Obviously, tons of people are writing articles about it, how Tesla Cybertruck compares with other pickups. Everybody's writing different articles about Cybertruck. So the media attention, the social media attention, it's going to be off the charts for Cybertruck for all of 2024. It's going to be ridiculous. Every single person that is going to freaking see a Cybertruck in person for their first time, do you know what they're going to do? Pictures and videos galore. And they're going to send it to all their friends. I just saw my first Cybertruck. They're going to post it on their Instagrams and their TikToks and their Facebooks and all that other good stuff. Just saw my first Cybertruck. Everybody that gets one, everybody that knows that person is going to want to take a ride in it. And they're going to be posting photos and videos. It's going to be ridiculous. We've never seen this sort of attention on a vehicle in the history of mankind. Nothing could compare to what Cybertruck's about to go through in 2024. Absolutely ridiculous, folks. Obviously, very exciting times. And in seeing, I'll just be honest with you guys, in regards to me, and potentially, I bought some Tesla stock at the beginning of the year when it was way down, right? Other than that, I hadn't really been buying Tesla stock since, 2018, 2019. And I'm sitting on maybe $400,000 in shares or so. I'll be honest with you guys, okay? Seeing the engineering work in the magic that Tesla's done here, and I think a video like this really illustrates it. I'll be completely honest with you guys. I want to start buying more Tesla stock. And that's a hard decision to make because I don't love Tesla's valuation right now. I loved it at the beginning of the year. I don't necessarily love it right now. But Tesla is such a ridiculous team there that it makes me 100% convinced that they're just going to continue to innovate at a whole different level than anybody else is innovating, and you just can't compete with those guys. You can't freaking compete with them. I don't care who else you are. The traditional automakers have no chance. Even the companies like the Rivians and Lucids have no chance. They're a whole different squad. They're the definition of built different over there. And you just, I don't think there's a company in the world that really is doing what Tesla's doing right now. And when you really look into the technology behind the Cybertruck, you really start to realize these guys are playing on a different freaking level, man. A different level. And you're not going to beat them. And they're going to keep innovating, and they're going to keep wowing with products that people just thought, and doing things technologically that people thought was not possible. And they're going to keep breaking it. And yeah, man, I'm just very convinced this is just a team on a whole different level, man. Not just from everything I've seen in the past, but now seeing the tech on the Cybertruck, you can't walk away with anything other than thinking like Tesla's just going to continue to change the world for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years in a massive way.